Welcome to Week 5 of Prospect Football Weekly. I am your host, Paul Evers, and we are once again joined by Coach Mike Sebastian. Coach, thank you for joining us once again.
Paul, thank you for having me.
All right, last week played Glenbrook North. Tough loss on the road. What surprised you the most about that game against Glenbrook North?
I think what we talked about afterwards was just the simple fact that I think our biggest thing going forward is just going to be consistency. I think as a group, as a varsity team, we're a little disappointed in the fact that we really weren't consistent in terms of our arrival on the road for that game. We had made a big deal about trying to obviously turn Glenbrook North into a home type atmosphere, and we didn't do a very good job with that. Give them a lot of credit. I thought they played very well. They're a good football team. They're 4-0 now. They're very athletic, especially on the edges with their offense. And they jumped on us fast, and we struggled to respond. So I think that was probably the most disappointing piece of it. But I think the response in the second and third quarter in terms of our kids continuing to battle back, put points on the board, got the game a little bit closer at 28-10. I think that's a good sign, and we've had a good week so far with practice. So I think the biggest thing is again, learning from the situation and moving forward, so that we are prepared to go play the first game of the East. And the thing I try to make the biggest point is your non-conference games are essentially in some ways your preseason. You want to do well in them, you want to be successful, but it's about the MSL East at this point, and those 4 games are preparation to get you ready to do that.
Why do you think you guys have struggled on the road this season?
It's a good question. I think that's something that we're kind of contemplating a little bit as well at this point. I think part of the factor is, to be very frank, we played 2 pretty good teams on the road. Barrington is a good football team. They're 4-0. Glenbrook North's a good football team. They're 4-0. So, you're going into someone else's place who's very successful. It's going to be a tough, task ahead of you. But 2, I think one of it is just very simply we have to be able to simplify what we're doing at that point in a game and really focus in on our simple details to be successful and not worry about some of the outside elements that are going on when you're playing someone else's place. And I think we're learning that as we go here. As much as we are playing a lot of seniors, a lot of these kids are younger in terms of their experience, so we're still learning kind of how to play on the road. So I think that's something that we this week focus on the game ahead of us here at home, and then have to try to address those issues when we go on the road next.
If you take a look back at the statistics, you guys had Andrew Shaffis once again rushed over 100 yards. We'll see him later in the show. Mm-hmm. But overall, you guys put up decent rushing numbers, but you only scored a few points. Why is it so hard to get points up on the board, and how do you need to improve to get into the end zone?
I think offensively, we struggled early. We only had the ball for what ends up being 44 plays in the game entirely. When you're a ball control offense, you really can't do that. You need to have the ball more in the game, and we did not, unfortunately. So I think that's part of the issue at this point that we need to work on. That 4th drive of the game, the second quarter we marched down the field and did score, which was, I think, an important thing for us to put the points on the board there and got the game to 21-7. We marched to start the second half, and at that point, because it was still a 3-score game at 28-7, we decided to kick the field goal, put the points on the board. With the idea being we were hopefully going to get that ball back pretty quickly. Glenbrook North did a nice job going on a long drive and taking that opportunity away. We drove down late in the 4th quarter as well, and once you get into that red zone type area, it does get difficult, unfortunately, at points. You've got to really be efficient in what we're doing, and in the last drive we took a penalty, which did not help the situation. Now we're in 3rd and 25, 3rd and 26. That's going to be a tough thing for any offense, but especially ours. So I think that's really got to be the thing going forward is, we've got to make sure when we do get opportunities, when we get in the red zone, is finishing drives. It's something we will continue to work on this week in practice, and hopefully we'll be able to do that.
Then obviously your guys' non-conference schedule now ends. You guys are 2nd place in the East, only behind Rolling Meadows. Mm-hmm. What are you guys doing to prepare, again, for the conference schedule coming up?
Well, I think it's, again, really just focusing on every week getting a little bit better at what we do. Now it's an understanding that this is really, a time where they've made a goal to try to, win the MSL East. Well, to do that, you've got to take care of step 1, which is this Friday night against Buffalo Grove High School. So, and we're about to play 5 other teams that's their goal too. Everyone at this point is trying to win this division. And realistically for all of us, that's a goal every year. And, for a lot of us, because of records, you're trying to hopefully win enough games in the East to make a playoff. And if you win the East, you're automatically qualified. Well, for a lot of us at this point, that's what we're going to have to do probably to make the playoffs. So, it's this first couple weeks is going to be very vital for every team going forward. So it's about understanding that on any given night, anyone can do anything. We're all a pretty good group of kids on all sides of the ball for all teams, and we're all in a situation where any of the 6 of us could win the division. So it's not like there's one team that's head and shoulders above anybody. So we're all going to need to play very well every week if we want to be successful.
How are you going to get your team to rebound from last Friday night's game to be ready for this Friday night's game?
I think by focusing in on just doing our jobs, and really that's got to be the case at this point, and making a point of, look, you have all your goals still in front of you, so you need to now focus on really doing that. If you don't put last week behind you and you continue to dwell on that, you're potentially putting one of those goals at risk, maybe 2 or 3, and that's not something that you want to be able to say you did because you didn't respond very quickly. So the kids have done a very good job of bouncing back very quickly from last Friday night's game and focusing on the task at hand in front of them as we go forward to Friday.
All right. Thank you, Coach Sebastian. This has been the beginning of Prospect Football Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Coming up next, we will have player guest Andrew Shafis. Welcome back. We are here with this week's player, quarterback Andrew Shafis. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So one of the big things is we know that you converted from running back to quarterback this offseason. How were you able to accomplish that?
I knew a little about quarterback because of Maddie last year, and I figured out how he ran it a little bit, and I obviously had to work on the throwing because running back, you don't throw. So I kind of started, me and Luss, the quarterback coach, also the quarterback's coach, started back in March or February, and we started working on throwing and progressed better and better over the season, over the off season, and then into the summer we worked on it even more. And so that was a big part of becoming a quarterback, and then also learning the reads, which I'm still working on. So it's going to keep on growing and growing.
Yeah, you spoke about those reads. What is it like playing in a system where you have to make quick decisions on who to hand it off or just keep it yourself? What is it like playing in a system like that?
It's fun because you never know where the ball's going to go, and it's fun to be a little deceiving, especially the defense doesn't know where the ball is, and although it's not fun to have 3 guys tackle you without the ball, it's still a good thing because you don't have it. So, yeah.
Obviously, your offensive line is huge. You have a great offensive line this year. What is it like playing behind them?
I don't know. I can see for the most part. Ever since we moved Ollie to guard, I can start seeing again. And then, it's really nice to have a good push in the first level and have those guys play offensive line. Most of them played last year, and even the new guys are still moving up pace more and more to where it was like last year, and at some parts even better than last year. So, yeah.
Now this year you have a very special situation. You play Friday nights alongside your brother, who's also a running back on varsity. What is it like playing with him?
It's interesting. It doesn't really seem like we're brothers a lot on the field because we're more focused toward the team rather than ourselves. And we both push each other to be our best, but we don't do it for one to be better than the other. It's for the team as a whole. So, it's worked so far. So,
do you think you guys can push each other more than anyone else can?
Yeah, especially because I'm on top of Michael a lot, make sure he's doing what he has to do, and Michael corrects me sometimes, but I mostly am trying to help him because he still has 2 more years of varsity football. So,
and then what are your goals for the rest of this season?
I just want to make the playoffs. It's been a goal ever since a sophomore, and even before I even came to high school, watching playoff games at Prospect. So that's my number 1 goal, and pretty much.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. We will be right back with Mr. Mirandola. Welcome back. We are now joined by special guest, Assistant Principal for Student Activities, Frank Mirandola. Mr. Mirandola, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me this week.
So, Prospect Gives Back is a new initiative that you created this year. What made you come up with this idea?
Prospect High School is really kind of focused on redefining what it means to be college, career, and life ready. And one of the components of that is to have community service. And one of the most important things for kids to realize that community service is not about just how much money can I donate, but how much time can I donate, how much talent can I donate to the community. And I think that's really kind of one of the important things. We don't want to always be about fundraising. We want it to be about people helping people, because that's pretty powerful.
And then, what are you hoping to accomplish with this activity?
We're hoping to go ahead and have a great kickoff to homecoming week, because what we're going to do is we're going to have homecoming starting on, it's going to be, the football game is on the 7th, and on the 8th we have the dance, but we're hoping on the October 1st it's a way of kind of Prospect investing back into the community, and the community could then go ahead and celebrate Prospect High School the rest of the week.
You go to a lot of events. I mean, I see you behind the scene, not only at our taping of Prospect Football Weekly, but also at the Prospector, and I just see you, posting from many athletic activities as well as other activities. How important is it to you to promote all the extra work and time kids put in at Prospect for these activities that turn out so great as a final product?
Well, I think one of the great things about my new position of assistant principal is I could be Prospect's #1 fan. It's my job to celebrate Prospect kids, and there's so many great things going on here that it's easy to do that. And I think it's important for student athletes, students in different clubs, whoever it might be, to realize that they are supported and that people do appreciate what they have going on. And it's just another way for kids to invest in the Prospect community. And no matter what you do, if you make a big investment in it, you're going to realize that it's going to be something special. It's not just me something, well, I'm just going to school. It's like, no, I'm investing in Prospect High School, and I'm doing something great here.
And then this Friday night's game is Unite for a Cure, which is back once again. What is this event all about?
Unite for a Cure is our breast cancer awareness fundraiser through Northwest Community Hospital. And so we've partnered up with them for a third year for this particular fundraiser. It's really, I think, like the 10th year overall for the Volley for a Cure that we've kind of morphed. And so what we're seeing at this point is that we're really kind of looking to raise awareness to breast cancer, also celebrate survivors. I think that's an important thing to go ahead and do as well. And ultimately what we're going to be selling, we have about 1,200 shirts we're selling. We have raffle prize, which includes 2 tickets to Hamilton, which is kind of the big one, which I think people are excited. Yeah, you are excited about that too.
Hamilton's a popular show.
So it should be a pretty great evening. And I know that the Prospect Football Program has been a great partner in that and allowing us to use that as the culminating event.
And then what are your goals for this year's event? Again, third year with it being associated with the football program. What are you hoping to see this year?
Yeah, it's not even so much about who it's associated with, but it's more about just the fact of increased awareness and to bring the school together. All the stuff we're trying to do is we're trying to bring the school together and to kind of create an awesome vibe and just a really cool sense of community at Prospect, and once again connect with our greater community. And that's really what we're hoping to do. The money is nice, and you're helping a lot of people, but ultimately it's about building a sense of community with Prospect, Northwest Community Hospital, etc.
And speaking of that community, what kind of impact has this event had in previous years on members of the community or just the community in general?
Yeah, we've gotten some statistics, and we've helped about 12 women find out that they have early stages of either cancer or that they need to go for further follow-ups based upon some of the free mammograms they're receiving as a result of our program, which is life-changing. It's not just life-changing for them, it's life-changing for their families. Because their families are the ones that ultimately, if they didn't get that, they would be without them. So it's been pretty powerful. It's pretty impressed to see the results that a bunch of high school students could have on a community.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mirandola. We will be right back to preview this Friday's game against Buffalo Grove. Welcome back to Prospect Football Weekly, sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. We are back once again with Coach Sebastian to preview this Friday's game against Buffalo Grove. Now, obviously, started the conference season. What are you telling your guys before this week's game?
You liked how Mr. Mirandola was dressed. He was dressed very well, wasn't he?
He
looked very good. I think what we're doing at this point is just simply talking to the kids about, taking one practice at a time, one day at a time, focusing on the team in front of them at this point. And that's really the biggest goal, is we've got to go out and play very smart football here for 48 minutes against Buffalo Grove High School. They are the team that's sitting in front of us at this point that can get in the way of our goal. And we're the team sitting in front of them getting in the way of their goal. So, we've got to really focus on doing the little details, practicing well, making ourselves prepared for Friday night. I explained to the kids, this game on Friday night is going to be won or lost on Monday through Thursday, not on Friday. So I think that's the focus right now.
Then Buffalo Grove last week, they lost after just Vernon Hills came out and had a blazing start, able to take an early lead. Are you going to try and get your guys to play in a similar fashion and try and get an early lead?
Well, I think everyone would like to take an early lead, and try to get out, early on people. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. It really just depends sometimes on the conditions of a game. I think we would like to be a little bit more efficient, like we've been at home the first couple weeks of the season than we were on the road. The 2 weeks that we've been on the road, where we started kind of slow. So I think a lot of it's going to be about trying to get our defense flying to the ball and adjusting to different situations much quicker than we did last week. Offensively, trying to hold the ball in terms of the way we do it, run our ball control offense, but also to be moving the ball so that we're having an extended drive to start the game, because that's been something that last week we didn't do. We went 3 and out, we went 4 and out, we went 3 and out. We can't afford to only be running 10 plays in the first essentially 16 minutes of a ball game. We're not going to be very successful offense at that point. So we're going to put a lot of pressure this week on Andrew Shaffis, who you got to meet obviously earlier here this evening, on the running backs and on our offensive line to control. But to be very frank with you, I think part of what's going to have to happen too is we're going to have to do a better job in our passing game. We've got to become a little bit more balanced in what we're doing the last couple of weeks. So hopefully we can put the ball up a little bit more and be ready for that.
Talking a little bit about the offensive side of the ball, going to the defensive side of the ball. So far, Buffalo Grove has really struggled on the ground so far this year. How are you guys going to continue that trend to make sure that they don't break out and have a huge game?
I think at this point, we did a better job last week against the run game against Glenbrook North. We didn't do as well a job against the passing game, which we had been doing well the first 3 weeks. So I think, we felt like we had fixed some issues in our run defense, and then we had a bad game in terms of the pass defense. Glenbrook North did a pretty good job of taking advantage of some things that they found in our defense and making us pay for it. So, we've got to go back to the drawing board, and our staff has done that this week to try to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a situation that we're a more balanced defense playing both the run and the pass game. And if we can take away the things that Buffalo Grove likes to do on both sides of their pass game and their run game, hopefully we can, get our defense 3s and outs and get our offense back on the field. So that's me part of it, but also, to be very frank with you, the way you stop a good offense like Buffalo Grove has, because they do a pretty good job throwing the ball around, is by your offense being on the field. Keep their offense off the field. So that that's going to be part of the goal this week as well. We haven't won a time of possession since week 1. And for our offense, that's not something we really do. We want to control the ball. So we're going to have to do a better job of that and help our defense out. We can't keep putting them on the field.
And then, as you kind of said, passing game, Buffalo Grove is definitely focused on that because they've been struggling so much on the ground. How do you see your secondary performing in this week's game, and what do they have to do to keep control of that passing game?
I think by playing discipline in what's going on and reading keys, being aggressive in terms of what they're doing, I think is going to be important. They have number 2, I think it's Tommy Trebe, is a very good athlete. They like to get him the ball in many different spots and let him, kind of do some things on the edge. They have a young quarterback. I believe his name is Connor Adams. He's a sophomore. Is a good young kid. They got another sophomore up who's playing some linebacker for him, but I know he's played some offense as well. They've got some good kids that they've got some skilled kids on the edge. They're a tall, lanky group of kids that are athletic. They like putting the ball on the edge and getting you into mismatches. So we're going to have to do a job in terms of our secondary and with our outside linebackers in terms of playing pass coverage to be aggressive to the ball, move to the ball, swarm to it to try to take away any type of outside leverage that they might have on us and make it more difficult for them to advance the ball. If we can do that, I think that will help in our pass game while being conscious, especially in our secondary in terms of our safety play, of anything going over the top.
And then the Bison have been able to grab a lot of turnovers. They got 3 interceptions in last week's loss. How are you guys going to avoid turning over the ball on Friday night?
I think by making a focus of doing the little things that we have to do in terms of ball security, in terms of our option game, making sure we're doing a good job of riding the dive, putting the ball in people's pockets, stepping to our pitch, not putting the ball on the edge, securing the ball. I think that's been a big deal. The 2 weeks that we've been successful, we've done that. The 2 weeks that we have not, we haven't secured the ball. So I think that's a big deal. What you'll find with anything, one of the stats that always kind of can give you a determinant of whether or not you're going to be successful is, are you putting the ball on the ground or not? If you're putting the ball on the ground a lot, you're not going to be successful. You're giving people free opportunities to possess the ball, and you can't afford that. So I think that's going to be a big deal. And when we do put the ball up, is making sure that we are delivering the ball into positions where only our receivers can catch it, or it's out of bounds or in the ground. Don't give them opportunities to get back to the ball. So I think that's going to be a big focus this week.
What should we expect for this Friday night's game?
I think you need to expect a team that's going to give a great effort. If we give a great effort in terms of our approach, if we got a team that's swarming around a ball, I think we're going to be happy with whatever happens. I think that's one thing that we've talked with the kids about. I was not happy with the after watching the film, you see it. We were not happy with the overall effort. Our effort needed to be better. I blame a lot of that on our coaching staff. We needed to be better in terms of preparing the kids, and I've told the kids that. We needed to do a better job getting them ready. So that will not be a mistake that our staff will make again. At the same time, our kids understand that we can't be coaching effort all the time. We got to coach football. So that's something that our kids, our senior leaders especially, have made a big deal about, that will not happen again. That's going to be a focus of ours, to make sure that we're doing a better job in terms of our effort to put ourselves in position to understand that a game's 48 minutes. We have to play the full 48.
All right, thank you, Coach. Good luck on Friday night.
Thank you.
And we have a couple of cool opportunities coming up for Prospect Football Weekly. Coach, would you like to fill in our audience on these
Sure.
opportunities?
I think it's going to be a really fun couple weeks here at PFW. We're going to spend next week with our special guest. Is going to be our principal, Michelle Dowling. Mrs. Dowling is going to come talk with Paul and talk about just the school in general, different events that are going on. She's going to talk a little bit, I think, too, about the Prospect Gives Back initiative, which I think will be awesome. And we have a really cool opportunity coming up on October 4th. It's a Tuesday night. We're actually going to be doing a live taping of Prospect Football Weekly out at one of the local eatery establishments here in Mount Prospect. We're hoping that we'll have that located and specified by early next week. But we're looking at probably like a 7:30, 8 o'clock taping. So, put that on the calendar. October 4th, it's a Tuesday night, about 7:30, 8 o'clock. We're going to have an opportunity for people to come out, ask questions of myself, of our special guest. Our special guest that night is, with it being homecoming week, it's going to be an alum of ours, Miles Osei, who's an all-state quarterback here at Prospect High School. He has agreed to come on and talk with Paul. Paul's been nice enough to allow him to come on the show because, obviously Paul's in charge of everything that goes on here. So, it's going to be a fun night, a chance for people to come out and get a chance to shake Paul's hand, to get a chance to meet the star of the show, as well as get to meet Miles, get a chance to ask questions of us. We'll have one of our players there, obviously, as well, to talk with Paul. So it would be a cool event, I think, for parents, parents of the prospector, parents of our staff, of our kids, but even just community members in general. If you want to get a chance to come out and see a live taping of the show, we're going to be doing that October 4th. We're hoping to have a specific place announced here by maybe Monday or Tuesday next week. So it's some cool opportunities, that we're looking forward to, and getting a chance to talk with people and meet some of our audience here going forward. So it should be fun. It should be a lot of fun.
Definitely will. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Paul.
Week 5 of Prospect Football Weekly, sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Paul Evers, and we will see you next week.